appraisers are business and some appraisers are residential?
The appraiser is required to use all three approaches, so let's wait a while as to what appraisers can and can't do, depending on their level. And again, the county tax appraiser is looking for assessed value. Now again, once the purpose and function have been dealt with, first they define the rights that they're valuing. You know, their barriers. The next is to plan their assignment, a preliminary analysis of assignment. They need to know what date they're required to have. Now again, of great interest in appraisal is this. What is the most profitable use of the property that can be legally and financially accomplished? Many investment properties are not earning what they should. They could earn more. An office building which is vacant in a desirable area with the right zoning can be torn down, and townhomes or single-family homes for wealthy people can be put there instead of a vacant office complex. So again, the appraiser must look for alternatives. Again, this is the key point of appraisal. They always have to value the land itself, because the land is the asset that actually goes up in value rather than down. Land, by its nature, is scarce and is not being recreated. And again, the appraiser is required to apply not one, but all three appraisal approaches: comparable sales, cost depreciation, and income capitalization, but they will weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, depending on the use. And then, once they have done their reconciliation, they report their estimate to the parties who hired them. Now again, the appraiser is required by the regulation to use all three approaches to value. And again, the three appraisal approaches of which we will become familiar are as follows. The market approach, known as the sales comparison or comparable sales approach, most heavily weighted for valuing residential properties where people live. Now, the cost approach is actually used as a check, very rarely used in a regular basis because it's based on cost of materials and the depreciation of the improvement. And again, for investors, most heavily weighted, but they're still used in all three, on what is called income capitalization approach, which is how investors look at the future value of the property. And again, all three methods are attempted, and then the appraiser will do a weighted average and report the final estimate to the client. Now, the first approach that we will go into is a very basic market approach called the comparable sales approach. And you're going to see one of these on Sunday. I gave you a highlight on it. So again, the idea of comparable sales is to use a matched paired approach. So here's how it works. See, we are looking to the value of an unknown property called a subject property. And again, that is the unknown, the property that the appraiser is estimating the value of. Now again, in order to get an estimate of value, the appraiser has to use what are called comparable properties, which are what are called similar. There are no two properties the same in value because location, higher or lower in the building, etc., might have other variables. So again, the comparables have to meet certain standards. And the standards of the comparables are as follows. Must have been recently sold in the last 12 months. Again, we cannot use a comparable way out west to estimate the value of an oceanfront property, nor could we use an oceanfront property to estimate the value of the property way out west. And again, adjustments have to be made, so the comparable that is being used, the comparables that are being used, must be somewhat similar to the subject property. These criteria are required to be met, all three. Now again, there is no such thing as two properties exactly alike. You know, if you live on the 4th floor in a condo facing the ocean, would you be paying more or less than if you lived on the 20th floor in the same shaped unit, exactly the same, in the same line? Which is going to get more?
The higher.
Right? Location, location, location. The higher the better, right? Again, in a building, a city view would sell for less than an oceanfront, right? All those have to be taken into account. In housing, you know, Golden Beach is the best example of location, location, location. You know, Collins Avenue is not a wide street, is it, going through Golden Beach? But there is a wide difference in value. The properties on the east side of Collins Avenue where they own the beaches, I don't think there's a single property there that's going to sell for less than $10 million, right? Go west of the Intracoastal, there's not a single property there that will sell for more than $5 million because the Intracoastal is not as valuable as the ocean. So in essence, properties have to be adjusted for transaction differences, whether different financing, where the conditions of the sale, a desperate seller or buyer, desperate buyer or seller. Again, market conditions have a great deal to do with this. Also, most important in our world, location, location, location. You know, funny enough, a single family home on the sand in Golden Beach, these big estates could go for $40 million, right? Well, actually, Las Vegas has a lot of big houses on the sand, and you can get one for $400 because all they have is sand and no water. Oh, other than that, location. Behind that, location. Also physical characteristics such as square footage, number of bedrooms, condition of improvement, etc., etc., etc. Now here's your key point, and we're going to do a little arithmetical calculation along the way. Adjustments are always made to the comparable property because those are the ones we know of. The subject is what we're trying to estimate, okay? So again, the idea is to match them, to make the comparable match the subject in value. If the comparable is inferior, so in other words, we have a subject that's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, we have a comparable that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The comp sold at $200,000, right? The bedroom is worth $10,000, right? We've raised the comp up to $210,000 for the extra bedroom. Now the subject, we have an estimate of market value of $210,000 for the subject. On the opposite side, the comparable is a 4-2, subject is a 3-2. Now, again, comparable sold for $200,000, it's a 4-2. $10,000 is the value of the bedroom. We bring it down by $10,000. Now the comp is adjusted to $190,000. It's the same as the subject. Subject should sell $190,000. Now again, you need an active market for this. The appraiser will adjust several comparables, and they will come up with a market value estimate of the subject property. Try one out for size. That's in the end of the chapter. And this is pretty much what you're going to get on Sunday. Turn to page 254, the sales comparison.